Okay. Welcome to How Not to Draw. How many people have done this panel with me before? Raise your hands. All right, we got 3 people in here, and the rest of you are newbies to this. Awesome. Okay, for those of you guys who don't know, my name is Amelie Belcher, and I'm a professional manga artist. I draw comics for a living. And before I drew comics, I taught high school art for 4 years. So the information I'm going to give you is not coming from a place of, oh, I'm so great, and I'm God's gift to manga, blah, 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 blah. It's coming from a place of I've taught, and I see how, and I know how the human brain learns. And we're going to see some of the common mistakes when people are just learning to draw. And we're going to learn why we make those mistakes. And we're going to learn how to fix it and move on towards real human anatomy and real drawing skills. Now, before I begin, how many people in here have an art teacher that says, don't bring anime into my classroom? Just keep it out of my classroom. I don't want to see it. All right. Now you guys are all like, yay, let's go to this panel. That girl's probably going to be real cool. And now you're going to hate me because they're right. It's like, oh my God, I hate her. Yeah. This panel's over, table flip. Can you turn this down a little bit? This is way too sensitive for me. Down. There we go. We're good. All right. Yeah. The reason why I say that is this. Quick story before we start. I taught high school art for 4 years. I taught one girl who was a twin, both her and her sister, for 4 years. And during that time, Sierra and Tiffany, Sierra was in love with Fushigi Yugi, and her sister wasn't. So we do what's called a diagnostic drawing. The children come in, we put a bowl of fruit in the table, and we see where the level of everyone is, you know, so that we know how to gauge our teaching for that class. So 4 years worth of drawing, her sister took on board everything that we were imparting, the how to look at the world, how to understand how to break down shapes, how to understand way lights reflect off of objects. And her sister, on the other hand, just kept drawing Fushigi Yugi. So we would go through and be like, hey, little Billy, that's great. That looks really good. You got the reflected light coming off that apple there. That's great. Oh, Sarah, look at that. The grapes. You have the whole shape of the cascade coming off the bowl. Wonderful. Sierra, what the hell, man? And she'd be like, it's the prince from Fushigi Yugi. I'm like, why are you drawing this guy? Cause he's pretty. I thought we were drawing fruit. I was. What happened? He ate it. It's like, ugh. So at the end of their senior year, we do the same diagnostic drawing again so that we can show them the difference between their work freshman year versus their work in their senior year. Everyone shows vast improvement, beautiful just transition, oh, just gorgeous work, except for the one girl who wouldn't stop drawing anime. And the reason is this. Here we are giving her building blocks, things that you learn, things that you can take and stack on top of each other so you understand 3 dimensions within your own head, right? But she remembers that one manga, and I drew off this one manga that one time, and he had this kind of hair that one time, and he will always have that one kind of hair that one time. What drawing is, and especially what drawing manga is it's an incredible simplification it's an abstract simplification of a very complicated 3-dimensional object, and that's us. And until you understand the 3-dimensional object that is human anatomy, how are you going to simplify it? Yeah? Does that make sense? All right, cool. So what I'm trying to get across to you is, when your teacher says don't bring anime in the classroom, respect that, because she's not like dissing anime. And yeah, some will be like, it's not a real art form. Yeah, it is. But they don't understand that because they're so used to just knocking their heads against a wall with certain students. Take on board what they're saying. Respect the fact that they don't want this in their classroom. Just take it on board, because the information they're going to give you is going to help you so much in the long run. Really, it will. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at some mistakes, common mistakes of how not to draw. Now, being an ex-art teacher, people bring me their sketchbooks all the time. They say, Miss, oh, by the way, my name's Amelie Belcher. I'm a cartoonist, blah, 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 blah. I do the webcomics Ami-chan and Vin Diesel Jesus at AmiArmy.com. And I also do the webcomic Bounty Haunters, also at AmiArmy.com. Yay, Bounty Hunters, yay, thank you, fan. So, so I'm a professional, so I'm not just spitting nonsense. Yay. Anyway, people bring me their sketchbooks and they say, Miss Amelie, will you look at my sketchbook? And I go, okay. And then I open it up and I see the same things, the same mistakes again and again and again. All right? So what we're going to do is look at a few of these mistakes. I'm going to open up my baby, my program, my outdated and no longer supported favorite program, Painter 9. And Yeah, it's a lot of fingers, right? All right. So, no. Let us. Man, everything looks way stretched out on my computer, but it looks fine there, but it looks way stretched out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to be drawing bad drawings today anyway. So, all right. So let's go ahead and look at some common mistakes. Let's start with the girls. All right. Now, if we all go back, and I've got sketchbooks from when I was 12 years old, and I made the same mistakes that people, are bringing to me. It's not a shame thing. It's just these are the common mistakes we all have made. First and foremost, let's zoom in on this bad boy a little bit. Okay. So, the first thing in all little girl sketchbooks is a Sailor Moon-like character. That pretty little sailor character with the pretty hair and the huge eyes and the little skirt that's all like Catholic schoolgirl skirt, and it's so cute! All right? Now, 9 times out of 10, let's start this drawing. Did I plug in my thing? No, I didn't. It'd be good if I had my equipment plugged in, right? Yeah, you're a professional. You can't get your crap together. Yeah. All right. There it goes. All right. So, 9 times out of 10, the first thing I notice is the chin of the character. Now, in anime, it can be super like elongated. It can be like non-existent. It can be a million different things. But 9 times out of 10, what I see is this situation. Dude, if this is her chin, if she looks down, she's gonna like puncture her like artery, just oh god, bleed out and die right then and there. You could cut meat with a chin this sharp, okay? You don't want that. But 9 times out of 10, that's what we see. I'm actually gonna give that just a little bit more symmetry. There we go. Now let's zoom in on that a bit. Now the rest of the face. Either the nose does not exist at all, because who wants to draw a nose? That's where boogers come from. Ew. It's so gross, there's boogers in there. Yeah, I'm not drawing that. Nah. Or it's this sort of ski slope situation. Now, if you're looking at the face straight on, as we obviously are here, as it's symmetrical, you'd think that the nose would be symmetrical on the other side. Nope. Woohoo. So her face, if we're looking at this, is pressed up against some glass, and her nose is going off to one side. And it's a ski slope, a little check mark. Her mouth. It's so small, tiny mouth, so small. Now we've established the bottom of the face. Shut up, phone. But we haven't actually established the top of the skull. All right. Now, when you draw the head, you should draw the bottom jaw and the top, understanding that they move together, but as a whole. This doesn't happen here. We don't think about the top of the skull. The top of the skull doesn't exist because we haven't learned our anatomy. So we just jump right into the eyes. Now the eyes, oh God, the eyes. Now we should be drawing something a bit that, is the right size, but no, that's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna start it way up here. And with Sailor Moon eyes, there are those little white dots that represent like wetness and light shining on that wetness, right? Life. Well, we don't really know what those dots represent, but we know there are dots, and the more dots equal the more pretty. Yeah, so many dots, and you wind up with these things that kind of look like a fried egg living in her face. And another one over here. Drool. So, this face, it's like one of those alien visitors that comes and takes you out of your room at night and takes you up to, this hasn't happened to anybody else? Really? Just me? Just me? Okay. And then the eyelashes. Now, this is something that most people do, like when you've gone to draw something and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to open up my manga and okay, here's this picture I'm going to draw from, and you sit there and you count everything because you want it to be the same. So you're going, okay, she had in this image 1 eyelashes, 2 eyelashes, 3 eyelashes, 4 eyelashes, 5 eyelashes, 6 eyelashes, and then on the other side, 1 eyelashes, 2 eyelashes, 3 eyelashes, 4 eyelashes, and then and she's got tarantulas living on her face at this point. This is a terrifying character, it really is. Ears don't exist. However, earrings do. Not sure how that works, but let's put some pretty earrings.
It's got earrings and it's so pretty. It does that. Yay!
And there's kind of like clipped to the skin of her face. Life is painful for this person. So many tears. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Now, before we discuss the hair, let us move on to the body, because the hair is going to be a major element later. So can we all see this? Well, yeah, all right. So the neck. The neck is one of my favorite parts of the human body. You can express so much with the turn of the head and a little bit of muscle showing in the neck. The sternocleidomastoid, oh my God, just a little mark shows all you need to know about the direction of the head. The trapezius moving down to your deltoid, oh God, all of this information is just beautiful and just elegant. But that doesn't exist because we don't know what that is yet. So the neck goes, if a big wind came up, her head would snap back and she'd be dead, right? Just, But, so there is no gentle curvature down to the shoulder. It's just, and then shoulders happen and they're square. Like that. Yay! And one's super square and one's kind of not square. Yay! Because the shoulders aren't important, right? That's just something to prop your costume up on. And come on, let's face it, we're drawing this character so we can draw a costume, right? Yeah, we are. So, we're just going to go ahead and, we're just going to go ahead and get our little costume.
And then there's a big old bow, and then the bow does like that, and then there's the thingies, and then
boobs. So here's the thing, we all want to learn how to draw, so let's be a little bit adult about this. We all learn it the same way. As a budding artist, as an adult, by the way, learning to be an artist takes all the fun out of human anatomy. Seriously, like when my girls and I are out and whatnot at the club, like we do, a dude will walk by like, oh my God. I'm like, did you guys see his trapezius? Oh my God, I want to draw that trapezius. Did you guys see his serratus? Oh my God. So, and they're like, what are you talking about? But let's go ahead and get those in there. Notice she's wearing clothes, nobody sue me. All right. But then from there, we understand there's something going on there, but then there's no such thing as a rib cage. There's no such thing as a abdominal wall. There's no such thing as any of this. We haven't learned about that. So we just go, wah, wah, and it was tiny little waist. Here's her little waist right there. And then we got our skirt. And it goes like, I got one line left in the entire world, put down pencil. And that's her skirt. We don't think about the hip girdle. We're not thinking about how the legs are connecting into the pelvic girdle. We're not thinking about any of this. We're not thinking about the greater trochanter. We're not thinking about the obliques. We're not thinking about any of the muscles connecting in there. We're just thinking skirt goes here. Yay, legs come out from another skirt. Woohoo! So now that we've established torso and skirt, because skirt is apparently part of the torso when we're learning to draw, we decide to work on the legs. Now the legs look one of two ways. Either it's come down like that, and then her foot points off to one side, and then maybe there's a lump. Yay! We try it at a calf there. Yeah, and then yay, and here's her little foot. Yay! Right? So she walks around constantly like a ballet dancer, like a duck, just It's hard to draw the foot pointing towards you. Not gonna do it. Or it's the ballet leg, and it's like, and then there's her shoe. The end. Yay! So this leg is way longer than this one. If she straightened this leg out, she'd be like, walk, walk, walk. So now the arms. The arms are, it's so much fun. Who here has a hard time drawing hands? Yeah? Hands are one of the most difficult things to master. Once you get the basic structure and basic shape down, you're good to go. You really are. There are certain little things you can do with your drawings. It's like, oh, that's a hand, I'm done. But it is a difficult thing to wrap your mind around, especially if you're not used to working in 3 dimensions. Or thinking in 3 dimensions, I should say. But here we have a young person who hasn't learned any anatomy, and hands are really hard. So you know what the cure to that is? We go, here's her arm, and her hand's behind her back. Yay, I don't have to draw it now because it's behind her back. Or, here's her arm, and she's holding a bouquet of flowers. Yay, flowers, yay. And I'll go through sketchbook after sketchbook seeing this. And I'm like, okay, sweetie, I'm seeing a pattern because it'll be behind her back, or she's holding some flowers, or they're behind her head, or something where she doesn't. I'm sorry, what?
Conveniently placed rocks.
Conveniently placed rocks. We're gonna like Rob Liefeld the hell out of this, man. It's like clouds out of nowhere because I don't like to draw, feet. But storm in a clear blue sky, but suddenly there's a cloud over her feet. Meanwhile, 8 billion teeth, all the teeth. But yeah, here's the thing. If you're going to learn to draw hands, you got to learn to draw hands. You're not going to learn to draw hands by not drawing hands, And we all, I looked out. The first manga I worked on was a manga called Loud Snow. It's about Eskimos. They were all wearing mittens. So I spent half the time drawing mitten hands, which is, by the way, a valid way to learn how to draw hands, is drawing mitten hands. You can then break it up into smaller portions, but this is not the way to go. And they're like, but I don't like drawing hands, and I don't want to learn how to draw hands because it's hard. And you want to draw a manga? Yes! And you have the whole story? Yes! And at no point in this manga is your character's hands ever going to have to appear. She has flippers. It's about a whale girl or something. I don't know. It's about a seal girl. There is a manga about a whale girl, and it's super cute, but she has hands. Okay, so here's our character so far. Now back to the hair. Once again, it's that thing where you saw an image back in the day, and you drew it the one time, and in that one image, it was, okay, her bangs did like this. It went up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and forever it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 spikies. They will never change. Hair is not a liquid sort of thing. Hair does not bend and flow. It is not affected by gravity. It is not affected by the wind. It is not affected by how you tilt your head. No, I drew it like this once and it will be like that forever. And that's how it happens, all right? Because we haven't really thought of hair in terms of it moves and it flows and it shapes. And wetness and how the wind is blowing will affect it. No! And same thing over here. And we go down. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And dang. There we go. Bangs are done. And Sailor Moon has these things. What is that thing? It's like her little bun protectors. Is that like where her power is? Why does she need a shield on her buns? Like, if she gets hit in the buns, does she fall apart? I don't know. But here's her little bun protectors. It's a shiny bun protectors. And there are two ways of doing that I see the hair happen again and again and again. The first way is I have one line rule. It's like a contour drawing. This is the last line left in the entire world. Lines, it's hair, yay. Or the clamp way. Now, do we all know what I mean when I say clamp? As in Chobits and Cardcaptor Sakura and all of those pretty giant big eye things, and the hair's just it's still moving 20 minutes later. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. It's such gentle curves and thin and thick lines and just beautiful and everywhere. And yeah, there's a computer program that does those lines for them. Yeah. But which I think I'm doing a panel on Manga Studio at some point this weekend, and I'll show you how to do that kind of hair. But if you're not familiar with how hair actually works, you wind up doing something like this. You go, okay, 1 line, and 2 lines, and 3 lines, and 4 lines, and 5 lines, and it comes down, and it pulls on the ground, and it comes off the page, and it comes back in the page over here, and it's up here, and it's, I don't know, having a cup of tea over here, and the hair's all like, I'm gonna go shopping, I'll see you later, bye. And it's just everywhere, so much hair, all these lines that represent hair. It's knitting a sweater up here somewhere. Yet the hair is just everywhere, right? It's just uncontrolled line mass. So yeah, these are the common mistakes I see in female drawing. Now, not to beat up on the girls too much, we're going to look at the common mistakes I see in boys' sketchbooks. I know, right? Uh-oh, we're in trouble. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Now, boys and girls, two different animals. Boys are from whatever and girls are from somewhere else. But there is one basic common thing I see again and again and again, and that is the chin. So let's make that a little bit bigger. Once again, we've got, it's a little wider on the boys, but once again, we've got the chin that will kill you. Do not look down at any point. You're just going to go and die, and that's not a good scene. Behead yourself, like if something like if you're watching NASCAR, suddenly your head falls off, right? Not a good situation. Once again, ski slope nose, whoop whoop, off to the side. You know what, let's go to the other side this time, little variety, woohoo, oh my god, we just spiced it up. What's going on up in here? Eyes, all right? And you guys are all gonna know where I'm coming from in a minute here, right? Eyes. Everybody's so angry in boy drawings. And in girl drawings, again and again and again, you're always going to find that one page where it's a fairy or an angel on the moon and they're crying. Is the moon a really depressing place? Why do people keep going back? Every one, I'm like, oh, there it is, the girl crying on the moon. Or the page with like the two yaoi boys, and one's got demon wings and one's got angel wings, and they're looking into each other's eyes. It's all like, no one will understand our love. It's like, gross. But like their eyes are all like gelatinous and wobbly. I'm like, why are they always crying? Girls, stop drawing guys crying, seriously. But guys, so much anger. Do we need to talk? Are we okay? Are we cool? Are we good? Seriously, because again and again I see like, oh, the anger eyes, anger, yeah. Tiny pupils equal anger, yeah. And the girls have mouths all like,
Yeah.
like that. But the boys have mouths that are all like, yeah. Just try to stay in control. This is your I'm in control face? Wow.
The shape of the mouth reminds me of a game controller.
Oh, a game controller. Yeah, it's an Xbox controller. There's your toggles. Yeah. Okay. Got your triggers over here. All right. So yeah, we've got our PS2 controller or whatever this is. Or we could go like old school and be all like it's one of those game, or what do you call it? I just screwed up my own joke. Dreamcast controller. It's like, oh god, what is he, a vampire? He's drooling. Okay. So we've got our angry mouth. Boys draw ears. What's up with that? Girls will only draw an ear if there's, something that needs to dangle off it. Like, it's really not that important. But guys draw ears. And you're going to know where I'm coming from on this in a second. And it always looks the same. The DBZ little monkey ears. What's up with the little swirly curly cinnamon bun ears? And guys will always add the ear. Or if it's not a swirly curly ear, it's a little like,
What's
little peg off to the side. Just,
tiny, so small.
and then we put an earring on it.
Yay!
No, we're not doing that. Let's go back to our swirly curly ears. I like those a lot. DBZ.
Those are from Walt Disney's Hercules.
That's right, those cinnamon bun Hercules ears. Only reason to watch that movie? Hades. Come on, James Woods. Come on. I mean, dude, right? I'm always like, fast forward and Hades. It's good. Everything's good again. Oh, James Woods. I just got through Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'm like, you mean there's no more James Woods in this game? Flip the table. So, okay, so then the hair. Gravity doesn't exist in the world of boy hair. It just doesn't. DBZ, Yu-Gi-Ohs, oh God. And I used to go, that doesn't happen. That never happens in the real world. And then I went to a guest dinner and like the Japanese band was there and their hair was like defying gravity. I'm like, I want to draw you. Let me draw you like one of my French ladies. So it's crazy, man. And they're all like, crazy woman touching me. Translate that. So, let's go ahead and get some hair drawn in here. It's all like, okay, spikums, so much spikums, go off the page, off the page, off the page, so much spikums, more spikes equal more angry, and one thing in the face like that, and then, so much spikums, and Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh. And Yu-Gi-Oh. So, Super Saiyan Yu-Gi-Oh! Here comes back into frame. No, and then we move on to the body. With a face this angry, you can't tell me that there's not muscles, and we're gonna draw some muscles, and more anger equals more muscles, and more muscles equals more power. So, I see something, and this is, I guess, from drawing, from manga that have so much muscle in it. But rest assured that your favorite mangaka know their anatomy. And they can break those rules because they learned those rules. I mean, let's all look at Helsing. His arm, his elbow, hangs down to his knee. Every time I read, I'm like, ah! It looks so good, though. But they know the rules, so they break them, right? You learn the rules, so you can break them.
That's normal for a gorilla, though.
Right? But we're not drawing gorillas. But guys have a little bit more firm understanding that muscles are happening, but they're not quite sure. And I'm talking about, 13 to 15-year-old boys here. But I see it again and again. There is an attempt at the musculature of the neck, but we're not quite sure what it is. So it's all like lumps and lumps, and there's a lump, and then, okay, we know there's a deltoid, right? Because that's where the first lump is, right? Lumps equal muscle. And then underneath that's the pecs. And it's like, oh, man pecs, not symmetrical. And then lines equal stretched muscle, so angry muscle, stretch, stretch, so much stretch, lumps, lumps. And then we go into the rib cage / abdominal wall / abdomen / torso. It looks like this. And then pants. Nobody sue me, he's wearing pants. Pants. Quick question, why do we call it a six-pack? Okay, now technically there are 8. But the 2 that live on top the rib cage, you need to have like 0% body fat to be worrying about drawing those things, right? 9 times out of 10, it looks like something, unless you know how to like angle them onto the ribs, it's gonna look a little wonky. So people say, I got me a 6-pack, because those are the muscles on the abdominal wall, that the abs that actually pop forward and show out. You gotta like eat nothing but chicken breast and broccoli for a year to really see the 2 that live up top. So we don't worry about those. For all intents and purposes, we don't worry about them. Unless you're getting super into every tiny little piece of shadow that lives on your male figure, we don't worry about them. So 6-pack. But more lumps equal more muscle equals more power. So 6-pack, how about 18-pack? Yeah, muscles, yeah, look at all the muscles. Stop that. Computers is not being hooked up to this thing. So you wind up with like the belly of a cockroach. It's like, no, I don't like it, segmented little, And we know that there are muscles living on the sides of the serratus. We understand that we've seen them in comic books, but we don't know what they connect to, but we know there's lumps, so let's draw some lumps, lumpy lumps, more lumps, lump. I just saw Adventure Time for the first time yesterday, and it was Lumpy Space Princess going, look at my lumps! I was like, lumps! Gotcha! I'm like, gotcha! So, my lumps! Hey, girl! So, which is how I talk to my girls. I'm like, oh, what? They stole my oh, that's how I talk. What? Hey, girl! So, we've got that. The legs. One of 2 things happens. Either it's the, knee, and look how small those legs are compared to the entirety of that figure. I mean, this poor son of a gun has a real hard time standing up, without cracking his knee and his ankles and everything in between, just like, crawling on his hands and knees. That's why he's so angry. Or the DBZ leg, where everyone has a cankle. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone has cankle legs in that show, so it's all like, foot, muscle, toes, muscle. Consummate V's.
Yes.
Finally, God, I started to feel old whenever I say that, and people are like, I don't get it. Consummate V's, make an ass. Now we move on to the arms. Once again, there is an attempt at anatomy, but we don't have a real firm grasp, so we're gonna fudge it. So more lumps equals more muscle, yay! So we've got our deltoid here, our shoulder muscle, so we're like, okay, let's draw a muscle! And we all have learned in school the basic muscles. We got our deltoid, and we got the bicep and the tricep, right? So we know that there's, bicep, tricep, so cool, we're good on that point. But even I, who study anatomy for fun, I don't know all of the muscles of the forearm, and they change depending on how you move your wrist, and how the wrist, like how you draw it, changes depending on how you're moving the hand and how you're moving your arm. I have a great time just going, yeah, yeah, and drawing in the mirror going, yeah, man, yeah. This is a really complicated thing that you're embarking on, learning to draw anatomy. But we don't know this, right? So we know bicep, tricep, and beyond that it's just skip the middleman, go straight to that. Or we go bicep, tricep, and then forearm with muscle, and then more muscles, and then more muscles, and then fist. So much fist. Ah, fist. Fist. More muscles, lumps, 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 lumps. We have pecs in our pecs. Yo, dog, I heard you like to work out, so we put pecs in your pecs so you can work out your pecs while you blast your pecs. Pexception. We're going to pexception this thing. All right, so these are common mistakes that people make. Now, I might be exaggerating slightly, or I might not. Pexception. So, those are the basic mistakes. Now, once again, when your teacher says don't bring anime in the classroom, this is why she's saying don't bring anime in the classroom, because this is all coming from a place of, I looked at my DBZ manga once and I drew it like this once, and it will forever be drawn like that once. And if you need to draw the character from the side, well, rather than going, okay, well, let's think about it in three-dimensional terms and turn it to the side, no, we just do this. There, now he's from the side. There, from the side, the end. Yay, his nose goes over here now. He's so angry. Lumps. There's his other foot. Now he's from the side. So, yeah. Yeah, we shouldn't do that. So at this point, I normally open it up to questions. I mean, there is so much information to cover, and I do have like human anatomy panel this week, and so I don't want to go into too much detail about human anatomy right now because we have so much time to do it later this weekend. But I know that you guys want to learn how to draw, and you've seen the common mistakes. And right now you're probably going, I did that when I was 12, or I did that when I was 10, but I'm better now. By the way, I know you sing to yourself in your head. I know you do. Don't play. So, is it just me? Did the aliens do it? But right now, let's go ahead and open up the question and answer. I mean, what do you guys have the hardest problems with, and what would you like explained?
Environment.
Environments. Okay, once again, notice that with both of these characters, we're looking at characters that are floating in nebulous space. There is nothing to ground them. They are floating in the white void. Somewhere in the back is two guys going, I'm a Mac and I'm a PC, right? There's nothing there. They're just, well, this is limbo. It's nice. It's not great. It's not bad either. You know, they're just, nothing's centering them in the world. All you have to really do to center your character is draw a line in the background. Now we know that they're standing in the foreground or the middle ground, wherever you want to place them in an image, but you don't want to just leave them hanging in the middle of nowhere like I've done with these guys. So, if you're doing a painting and you want it to be a white background and you want it to just be that image, but you do want the character to look like there is mass to it, just add a little shadow beneath the character. You don't have to draw the background as long as there's something centering the image saying, look, I live on some surface. You're good to go. But as far as other backgrounds, we do that thing where it's like, and here's a tree. I drew this like this when I was 5, and it's the way I draw trees. All I can really say on broccoli, it's broccoli. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur, gonna eat the broccoli. Yeah, dinosaur. Vegetarian T-Rex. Yeah. Wait, dinosaur. He's got a dinosaur growing out of his pec. Magically eating trees way in the background. So, right? So, as far as backgrounds go, you can be darn sure that every mangaka that you like and every artist that's drawn a comic that you like knows how to draw their backgrounds. They understand the concept of perspective. I'm actually going to go ahead and give you guys some books that you need to get. If you guys are dead serious about learning to draw, here's some information for you. Let's go ahead and just type it because my handwriting stinks. Okay, a lot of people go, what, when I say get this book. Seriously, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee is an excellent book. It really is. He talks about...
20 years ago.
Do what?
It's how I learned 20 years ago.
Exactly. It's been around 20 some odd years. It's an excellent book. I actually even like his canon of human proportions. You open a comic book these days, everybody's just like, oh, and women have torsos like, wah, and it's like, ugh, and fudging muscles and making up more muscles for more power, and but back in the day, a lot of comic book heroes, and especially the Marvel heroes, had obtainable bodies. They were very much like Steve Reeves, kind of. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, Steve Reeves. Yeah, but like remember like those Italian Hercules films from back in the day where all the guys were walking around with their guts sucked in like that and their chests poked out like that, and they had bodies that were like, they worked out, but it wasn't like super steroid Arnold bodies. That's the sort of bodies that are drawn as the canon of human proportions within this book. And it's an excellent resource to learn from, because then you can either make them leaner, make them more muscular, but they're working off of real human anatomy. Now, the only real thing that I'm like, on, and I'm like, oh Marvel, is their proportions for women come with high heels already on them. I'm like, oh, that's cute. You're so cute, sexist. Ow. But like, they're like, the woman is this many heads tall, don't forget the heels. I'm like, I won't, you son of a... Anyway, so yeah, How to Draw Comics is great. They go into anatomy, they go into how to set up a picture, how to direct your reader's eye, how to draw your backgrounds. Excellent resource for learning perspective. Back when I taught, we just photocopied their perspective section and handed that out. It was like, here, study that, there'll be a test later. There's 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. We've all done this in art class, right? The 1 point perspective. You guys know what I'm talking about? 1 point? Boxes. Like, here's your... No, stop that, no. Yeah. Okay, so like, here's your vanishing point, right? And here is your horizon line. Like that. Up, too low. No, stop it. Okay. Good enough. So then, if we were drawing a road, and this is a 1 point perspective, all the lines are going to try to meet at this vanishing point. That is where everything vanishes over the horizon, right? So we've got a road, doopy-doop-doop-doop, and then doopy-doop-doop-doop. So there's our road driving off, and then we can add our little dots down the center of the highway if we like. That looks like butt. And dot. Do we see? Starting to make a highway, and it's going boom, and we're getting this perspective. We could have telephone poles along the side of the street, so we draw up like that, and then we would do like a little ghost image, like do a little sketch, because if this is the top of this one, then the top of all of them are going to be on that same level heading towards the vanishing point. So then we can go, okay, well, if that's that one there, then we, stop that. Then we can go, okay, the next one's going to stop here. The next one's going to stop here. Yay. And then the next one's going to stop here. Do you guys see that blue line I drew? Yeah, okay, good.
Unless you're in the real world where they kind of weird.
Yeah, and some are like this, and some are like that. Yeah. Some are laying across the highway. And like that, and then like that. And do you see how it looks like they're going off towards the distance? But this is all just 1 point perspective. And you can do a lot with 1 point, and then there's 2 point, 3 point. But How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, excellent resource for learning to draw in 1 and 2 point perspective. 3 point gets a little bit more complicated. I hardly ever use it, but it is worth learning. Now, as far as like drawing buildings, drawing chairs, the best advice I can give you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is if you want to learn to draw anime, don't draw anime. And people go, wait, what? Huh? What? I don't understand that. Once again, what you're trying to do with anime is simplify a really complex object. And even if that's a Coke can or a microphone or a table, this room, until you understand the basics of drawing these things, you can't simplify what you don't understand yet. So if this is the challenge that I've given to several students. Not many people have been able to do the whole challenge, but if you can complete this challenge, I guarantee you, your work is going to improve 1,000-fold. Get yourself a sketchbook. It could be just a cheap Walmart sketchbook. Take a month, any month, I don't care, right? and for 1 month, you do not draw anime. Nothing. Right? And you're like, but Amelie, that stinks. But here's what you're going to do. In 1 month, you're going to fill that sketchbook from cover to cover. Draw your mom, your dad, your cat, your brother, your dog, Coca-Cola cans, cups, chairs, rooms. Go outside, draw trees and flowers, look at cars, draw tires, draw everything. And then after that month, go, and done, fling. Pick up your anime sketchbook and go back at it. I guarantee you, it's going to be so much easier. And everything that you've taken in is going to get applied to your cartoon work. And cartooning is just simplification, all right? And people go, oh, okay. But then the people who have done this challenge come back to me and go, oh my God, you were right. And I'm like, I told you what? You owe me $5 now. I can't say enough. This will help you draw things in a real world environment. And the best way I can explain it is that your brain is a file cabinet. And when you draw, not from a model, you're pulling from that file cabinet, but you can't pull from what you have not put in there. So if you draw this bottle of water, if you ever need to draw another bottle of water, you go, okay, when I drew that bottle of water, it had a cylindrical shape, but it wasn't necessarily cylindrical. It had an hourglass situation. It had little ridges in the side. The top was smaller here, but it had a lip there. And if I turned it to the bottom, it had these ridges there. And you're going to pull all the information from your drawing that you placed in your little file cabinet out. You don't necessarily have to have this near you ever again because you've drawn it once. It's in there, right? Does that make sense? All right. I sincerely hope you guys, take that challenge up. It really is a great help to you as artists learning. Yes, ma'am.
On anime thing, that there was one of my most recent art courses. The professor showed us a page from Pablo Picasso's sketchbook where it shows where he was practicing to draw the bull from Guernica. Mm-hmm. And Guernica, the bull image there is very abstract.
Yes.
He starts with a photorealistic drawing.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Picasso. People go, oh my God, I could do that. Yeah, but you didn't. The thing with Picasso and the thing with other painters of the abstract nature is they paid their dues. They didn't just say, I'm going to be an artist and daddy's paying for college and I'm going to be an artist so I can totally say I have a bohemian lifestyle. No, they know how to paint. They know how to draw. They went through, they understood human anatomy. And the reason why their work is so groundbreaking is because they chose to throw those rules out the window. That's why their work is so important. But they knew how to do all the classic stuff, but they chose not to. That's why it's so just for its time. Wait, what? What are we doing? Crazy, incredible. But once again, on that same vein, until you know the rules, you don't know how to break them properly, it's going to show. It's going to show, and you're going to wind up with a Sailor Moon hiding her hands behind her butt. So, and you don't want that. Yes, sir?
How do you draw hair?
Hair. Hair is, that's an excellent question. Hair. All right, let's say we're starting with our, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit. All right, make a smaller mark. I'm going to go ahead and drop my opacity a bit. Okay, let's start with, stop that. There we go. Let's start with the basic shape of the human head. The skull is flatter on top than you would think, flat there. Let's go ahead and mark in the jawline. Ear lives in the center of the skull, the occipital bun in the back. All right, we've got, okay. All right, so here is a male character, just real quick, hatched in, not too great, but there he is. All right, this is our dude. I'm gonna call him Frank. What's up, Frank? How you doing, Frank? I believe that's the occipital bun. I just call it the bun. Get yourself a plaster skull. I'm actually fortunate enough to actually have a skull. It's been handed down to my family for generations, and it was a teaching tool at the New Orleans School of Dentistry, and it came down to me because I grew up to be an artist. An invaluable tool, it really is. I call him Willie, and he is treated with the utmost respect at all times. This was a human being. But constantly, I'm always going, Willie, help, and lifting and turning, going, okay, understood, and there we go. But a plaster skull captures basically the same information. You can get them lightweight. Plaster is going to be pretty heavy, but go online and just, you don't want to get like a Halloween skull. No, those things are just designed to be scary and they don't really help you in terms of your anatomy. Get yourself an artist grade skull. That way you can pick it up and turn it and figure out how the jaw is reacting to, say, the top of the skull, how the brow line is in conjunction to where the jaw is meeting. But so we've got our guy. What's up, Frank? So let's talk about the hair. Now the hairline, we all want to do like the bangs that brush to the face, you know, it's all like, ooh, it's all pretty and animated, ooh, yeah, it's so pretty. But until we know how what the shape of the skull is, how do we know how the hair is going to lie on that head? If I, say, erased the top of his head altogether and was just working from the face, it's like, okay, hair, is the ear over here or over here? I don't remember. Okay, and then, and okay, yeah. Realistic terms, he is now missing the top of his skull and the back of his skull, and there's nowhere really for the muscles of his neck to connect down at this point because we didn't establish the shape underneath. I also draw, when I draw my characters in the nude, and I'm not drawing all the dirty details or anything, but it's a nude figure because until you understand what the body is doing, how do you know how the cloth is going to lay on this character, the give and pull of where the wrinkles are going to lie? Same thing with the hair. I always draw the head bald before I lay on the hair because the hair is being affected by gravity. The hair is being affected by the elements around it. Wind, how wet is it? How thick is the hair? Is it feathery and light or is it thick and full? Is it curly? Is it straight? Is it wavy? You have to make all these decisions. But once again, it will be affected by the real world environment. So let's go ahead and give Frank his skull back. There you go. You're welcome, buddy. All right, good to see you looking better. Do what?
It's smaller than the previous skull.
Yeah, it is a bit smaller, yeah. Good enough for now. Good enough for now. So here's our head. Let me draw a quick down here frontal view. All right, so top of the skull real quick and hatching it. Notice how quickly I'm drawing too. I'm not going one line and I will draw this head because that's never a good idea. The more energy you put into your work, the more it's going to come across in the final product. All right, so then we've got our ear off to the side here. Good enough for now. Top of the skull, top of the skull. Next, sternocleidomastoid coming down the trapezius. All right, good enough for government work. All right, so let's start with the front view. Here is where our eyes lay. Here's where our nose lay. Also, the eye lives in the center of your head. All right, we want to do this thing where we draw our eyes like way big, so the eyebrows are way up here, and like, yay, I'm an anime character and I'm so pretty, and yay, drool. But the eyes live in the center of the head, so you don't want them too low, like way down here, and now he's like, ew, creepy brainiac. And you don't want them too high. Right now he's just Slender Man. So let's go ahead and hatch in his eyebrows, which live above the eyes, of course. So about the center of the head is where you want your eyes to be. So I'm just going to hatch shape of eyes in real quick. It's best to draw the eyes slightly more square, like that. All right, do you see that? You can go in at this point and say, okay, now I'm going to give them more like a feminine sort of situation like that, maybe pulled down like that. Or at the same time, you could say, okay, I've got my basic square shape here, and I'm going to give it old people eyes and go like that, and here's a little bag there, and he's so happy. Look at her grandma. This is grandma. Hi, grandma. She's got her little glasses. Hi, grandma. Like that. See? But it's best to just start with sort of a square shape because you can go anywhere from that point. All right, that's just for your basic shape. Now, we've got this in. His hairline, you don't want the hairline, well, the hairlines are different on everybody, right? And you can get 100 different anatomy books and they'll have rules in them. Some may vary, but they're all like, your eyes are one eye width apart and your hairline starts at 5 minutes. 10 minutes, okay, cool, yeah. And your hairline starts at, like, if you take your palm and you put it on your chin and you fold it across your face, the tip of your finger should be at your hairline. And I see people, like, going, like, half the room's just like, nah. Also, your hand now smells funny and you're aware of it. But all these rules are just basic rules. If these rules applied to every human being, we'd all look exactly the same. All right? Every rule changes a little bit on each human being. So you can have a hairline that's way up here. You don't want your hairline right there, because I mean that's like Vegeta. All right? You don't want that. Well, yeah, but yeah. I go to about halfway between the top of the skull and there, and I start pulling out. And keep in mind that you're working on a human head that has shape, right? And there's a lot more square feature to the head than we think. We think heads are oval, the end. But there's a lot of square, planar qualities to the human body. If you can learn those planes, which we'll discuss in the anatomy panel, you're halfway there, right? So I tend to draw a straight line, straight line, straight line, kick it in, and then back out for the eyebrows. And there I know where the hairline is. From there, I can make decisions like, does he have like swooshy bangs that come up and then go down like that? All right. Notice how I'm doing like swooshes. Yeah. Ah. All right. There we go. Also, I make those noises at home, so don't think I'm putting that on for you. Just while I'm drawing. Gravity affects hair. All right, like with DBZ hair, it's like, and meanwhile, gravity's still pulling down. Now, with gravity pulling down, think of it a bit like fabric or water. It can come up, but it's coming back down, right? So we might have like a spray of hair doing that, but this is not the main mass of that hair. That's one little bit of feather coming off, and the rest of it's gonna gently start cascading down because gravity is affecting the whole mass. So if this was a face underneath here, I'm emo, don't look at me. No, don't look at me, emo. I have to go to my room and listen to My Chemical Romance now. It's not going to be the major masses that are sticking straight up unless you're DBZ. On the whole, gravity will affect hair. Think of it like water. It's coming out of a source, it's spilling over, and it's coming right back down again. You can make it super severe and have like just super straight hair. But once again, gravity is going to affect that, right? With curly hair, you get a lot more freedom because the curls themselves, once again thinking in real world terms, are supporting the hair itself. It's like architecture building on itself, right? So you can have curly hair that's like if this guy's hair was like wavy, the supporting of the wavy curls are going to support a lot of the mass of that hair. All right, so we can get away with a bit more fullness. But notice how I'm not like going like, yay, that's a curl, and yay, look at that curl, and so many curls, so many curls. We don't want to do that. Also, work in smaller strokes. Your hair is made up of millions of fibers, so you don't want to go, and I only have one thing, and then that's a hair, and then I have a one thing, and then that's a hair, and then I have one thing, and that's a hair. Work quickly, because that captures the motion of the hair. Is any of this making sense? Okay, good. Have I labored this point long enough? We have time for like one more question if I stop this now. Does anybody have another question?
I do.
Yes, go for it.
In your point perspective, have you ever used 4-point perspective?
I have never had need of 4-point perspective. Now, that doesn't mean I can't appreciate it. A lot of times in high school, we had this big library of all this stuff, and I'd be like, I'm done with my project, I'm going to the library. I just sit there and I go through like old wood prints from Albrecht Dürer. Albrecht Dürer, we all know Dürer, right? The German, Austrian, no, he was German. And he would do like the 4-point perspectives and the 3-point perspectives. I'd just sit there with a ruler trying to figure out where everything went. I'd be like, awesome, and making notes on little like post-it papers I'd put on the side of the print. And my teacher's like, don't mess up my book. And I'd be like, I'm learning. So, but yeah, just go back through the classic arts. A lot of the paintings from the Renaissance, brilliant, because when they figured out perspective, and I had the opportunity to go to Florence, and I'm fairly certain Santa Maria Novella is, the painting is, I believe it's Masaccio's Christ on the cross. It was the first representation of perspective, 1 point. And people thought it was like an IMAX theater, man. They were like traveling across Europe to see this thing, because what Masaccio did was he figured out how to make it look like there was a room on the other side of the wall. And it was Christ on the cross, and there's Mary, and the blah, 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 and all that stuff. But he painted a room behind them. And people were like, what just happened to my world? What? Because it looked good. If you stood in front of it, holy crud. And then people went, okay, well, what happens if I give it 2 perspective points? And then it became sort of it was chic during the Renaissance to paint perspective. And you would have all these different things like castles and floors, tiled floors. And if you could get away with doing tiled floors in perspective, and like royalty merchants would be like, I would like to show my devotion to the church. I need a painting of Jesus. I also wish to be in the painting with Jesus. And be like, okay, awesome. A year later, okay, sir, I have brought you the painting that I have just finished. Jesus is this big, and you're like that big. Look at this building, right? And they'd be like, amazing. All my friends come and see this picture. You can see it's 3D. And people lost their minds for this stuff, right? So go back and look at the classics, because when perspective was just being used, it's a lot easier to figure out where all those points are, and you can really see how the mind of the artist works, and you can apply all that to your work. All right, so we officially have like 1 minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and say thank you guys for coming out. I've got other panels this weekend, so please come out to them. We're going to learn how to draw My Little Pony tomorrow, and we're also doing human anatomy. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go have a great con.